Good morning, all. This is Pat O'Malley, co-host of the Keep Going podcast, Athletes Shining a Light on Mental Health. Episode 90, I got Tristan Michaels in the building. T, what's going on, my man?
What's up, P? How's it going?
Hey, I'm real good. I'm happy to be here. Dave, what's going on with you, brother?
How you doing, P? I'm doing good. I'm out here in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We're getting some rain out here, which is good for the state of Colorado, but I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I love it, man. I'm sitting here and I'm at the cheese headquarters in Lambeau, Wisconsin, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And yeah, it's against all my being to be here. I'll be very honest with you. I'm marrying into a Packers family, and this was their Christmas gift. So we've enjoyed some good food, and Hubby's won last night too. I see T's hat on. T, what's going
Yes,
on with
sir.
you, man?
Not too much, man. Like I said, went to the Air and Water show yesterday. Just having a nice chill weekend. So enjoying today already, the morning, and yeah, just hanging out.
Love it, man. Well, we're happy to have you, man. Anytime we can get three baseball guys together on the pod, I know it's going to be electric. I know we'll make a lot of impact today. Speaking of the impact, man, so obviously baseball guy, your whole life for the most part. Talk about the game of baseball and what it's meant to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, baseball's, for the first 24 years of my life was everything basically. I started playing a little later than a lot of kids, in Little League. I think I started in like second grade, but still, I mean, since I can remember, there was a baseball in my hand. Um, Baseball for me just was, kind of cliche and escape, but more so just a way that, create relationships. Like, I don't know if I have a single, like, really close relationship in my life that isn't somehow connected to baseball in some
Right,
way. So I'm
right.
always going to be, feel fortunate for that.
No, for sure. And I'm lucky enough to know both of you guys because of the same place, right? And
Hmm.
it would not be one, it would not be a mental health podcast. And two, it wouldn't be right to not bring up the barn and bring up the Peterson family while we're here. So, T, talk about the barn and talk about Power Pipe Hitting, man, which is one of our sponsors here at the pod.
Can't say enough good stuff about Power Pipe. Actually, so I moved across the street from the barn in Barrington from Jake when I was in eighth grade. So I started going over there, and another, place that, countless relationships still today that I, cherish. But the big thing for me was before I, started going in there, I was kind of a lazy kid, like I had a lot of natural talent, but really did not work very hard at baseball. It came at a time where I was kind of on the verge of like, whether or not that was something I wanted to continue to do, and started going in there, met Mr. Peterson, met Jake, met you guys, and he just kind of turned around my mindset on it, from, I'm not getting the results I want, so I'm just not going to do it anymore, to, all right, well, I'm not getting the results I want, so I have to work to get to the point where I can.
I love that. I love that. And obviously, Steve Peterson and the whole Peterson family has had such an impact in our baseball career. I think from a coaching perspective, we have a lot of players, a lot of coaches that listen to this podcast. As a player, what did you do differently once you got into the barn? Like, what was the number one thing for you?
Well, first off, just, trained with a purpose. I think I would go to practice and just kind of like coast a lot, before I went to the barn. Obviously it was middle school, travel ball was in full swing. I wasn't, it was an adjustment for me because I started playing travel ball a little bit later. So talent level was higher. I wasn't just the naturally best kid on the team anymore. So,
Right.
you know, um, I think the biggest thing though was Steve instilling in me that, a little bit of an old school mindset of just work hard, don't, take stuff from anybody and just play your game kind of thing.
I love
Yeah.
that, man. Yeah, Dave, I'm going to say this, man. You were obviously in the same boat as T. From a mental health perspective, man, do you feel like it was huge for you too?
Yeah, I think just getting around the right group of guys can be huge for
Yeah.
anyone that may be, unsure about their sport or maybe losing a little passion for their sport. T, I got a question for you. Like, when you were kind of like unsure about playing the game of baseball, you were kind of saying, what would you tell someone that may be on the verge of maybe quitting or not wanting to play their sport at any level in the youth, high school, or college?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's up to the, it's based on circumstance, right? Like when I was really on the verge of quitting, I was in middle school, pretty young, and um, obviously I'm glad I didn't. It was kind of, a lot of conversations with my dad of just like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, and just him kind of being like, well, let's just stick it out a little bit longer. All right, let's see how this year goes. And then that year turned into next year and then so on. But I mean, if I had quit, I mean, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know any of you guys. So I think if
Yeah.
I had one piece of advice is just, stick it out a little bit longer, work a little harder and just see if, it gets better and go from there kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I use the quote all the time, man. Charge it to the game. I mean, there's
Hmm.
good and bad in this, man. And then, having a podcast like this and being able to jump on with you guys this morning, like this would have all not been possible without the barn, without the game of baseball, without, I'm going to be very honest, without us getting through those hard times, because we've all had those stories at the barn in our baseball career. That's for sure. Well, being a mental health podcast, I want to steer it back over to that kind of focus, right? So you go on, you have a good high school career. Talk about the college recruiting process and ultimately going to college to play ball.
I mean, you're asking the right guy. I went through it 3 times. So, you know, uh, out of high school, didn't really have a lot of looks. I was kind of a late bloomer, didn't really play the first couple of years, especially at the varsity level. Had a solid senior year that, I was able to turn into a junior college scholarship at College Lake County. From there, had little bit of a, backtracking season from just statistics wise, wasn't, as good as I thought I was.
Your
And then
standards, yeah, to your standards. Yep.
right. Physically though, I made a lot of strides. So I, got a lot stronger, velo went up, all that stuff. So I was able to then transfer to a little bit better of a situation for me to Triton College. That recruiting process was a little bit better because it was like, all right, I have talent. I know the player I am. So I was able to kind of shop around a little bit, went on some visits. Nothing too crazy, just a couple schools, but ended up going to Triton. Uh, Best place for me. It completely changed my life. Good group of guys, great coach, great field. The real tough recruiting process for me was going from Triton to NIU because there was no junior college option, and I knew that wherever I went, I wasn't going to transfer again. So,
Right.
one thing that I personally did that I'm glad I did was I went on all my recruiting visits by myself. My parents were not really involved in it, mostly because of me. I just wanted to, I wanted the decision to be my own. I wanted to do everything, and coaches really respected that. That was one thing I remember going on a lot of visits and them just kind of saying like, you know, a lot of kids these days are a little bit more dependent on their parents than they probably should be at that age.
Right.
So they really respected the fact that I came in and just, wanted the information for myself, wanted them to know me, and I wanted to get to know them. It wasn't my parents' decision at that point.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And talk about your mental health during that time, because obviously having a fiance that played Division 1, sending a lot of guys to that level in my full-time job, man, it's taxing. Especially when you feel like I got 2 years, 3 years left, depending on the COVID year for a lot of these guys and girls. Like, talk about the mental health aspect of that during that time, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, each year was a little different, honestly. My junior year, there were certain things off the field that were kind of impacting me, but from a baseball perspective, I was just, I think a little bit too locked in. One thing from my perspective that I wish I had done differently was I wish I took a little bit of pressure off myself to go pro in some way. That was the goal. Like I was gonna go pro, play, whether it be indie or minor league baseball. That was what I wanted to do. And I wish I kind of took a step back and, just enjoyed the process a little bit more. But um, Division 1 going from Triton was, from an organizational standpoint, school standpoint was a 180. Like it was much more taxing, like you said.
Yeah. Stay on that. Was it more athletically, more academically, or was it, quite frankly, you were just putting too much pressure on yourself because you finally got to the top of the mountain in your head?
All three, man. I mean, physically, those workouts, it was so much more structure. Like, worked out every single day at 6 a.m. That was tough to adjust to. Uh, Academically, had 8 hours a week of mandatory study zone. Classes were harder. And then the third one, yeah, definitely. I wish I enjoyed just being there and being among the guys and stuff a little bit more because I was just so focused on the next step when I wasn't enjoying where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam said that a little bit in his episode. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. What would you like tell someone that may be struggling with where they want to be? Like, I want to be here in the future, but I'm not there yet. What would you tell someone for that? Because I struggled with the same thing. Like, oh, I want to be the starter. I want to be having these stats this year, but really that's in the future. What do you do or focus on yourself to stay in the present during that time? Because I struggled with the same thing with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think every ball player goes through that, any sport, honestly. The grass is always greener, the next place you're going to be. But I mean, you're not going to get there until you handle what you're doing right now. That was one thing. Like, I wanted to, throw 95. I was throwing 90. Like, the next step is just getting to 91 to 92 kind of thing. Like, I just be where your feet are, You can always look into the future, but the only place you can be is right now, kind of thing.
Yeah. I love that. And I think how you do one thing is how you do everything. But I think it gets lost in everybody's trying to eat the whole pizza in one bite.
Right.
Like, I want to throw 99, right? But I'm throwing 89. I'm not going to get to 99 tomorrow, but
Mm-hmm.
the decisions I make will put me in a spot to maybe get there. Nothing's
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed, but my decisions will kind of put drops in the right bucket. How about things that you did, man, that help you put drops in the right bucket to get you? Because not a lot of guys throw 90 miles per hour, dude. Like, I know I didn't. I know Dave didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that was, a lot of just routine, like, regardless of what I did, the day before or that day, I always just had a couple things each day that I made sure I did. I always needed to get some sort of physical activity in from, strength lift, like a strength training perspective. Um, just little things every single day that ultimately, like you said, led to, eating most of the pie at that point.
I love it, man. I love it, man. That's a good way of putting it. I think it's just daily decisions.
Hmm.
All right. Well, this is actually a first. This is episode 90. It's the first time I've ever really asked about this. Talk about your fiance, man, because I have to be honest with you. I'm getting to know her over the last couple of years, just weddings and just social gatherings. But I just asked that question. You just smiled, the biggest smile that I've seen so far in the podcast. Talk about her.
She's the best, man. Like you said, she was Division I gymnast at NIU. We were actually neighbors throughout college. Started dating my fifth year. But she was another level of an athlete. Like, I thought I was pretty good at my sport. Like, she was the real deal. We've always joked because her trophy case is much more full than mine. So our kids are gonna look at us someday and be like, "Wow, Dad, were you really anything,
Yeah, man.
kind of
I
thing?"
don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't think there's a scoreboard, but I think there's a lot of good to see. But yeah, go ahead.
P, next time you're around, I'll show you, man. There's a scoreboard and she's winning for sure. But no, her mindset on sports was so much different than mine because in gymnastics, that is the height of the mountain at that point is Division I, unless you're going to the Olympics, but that's
Right.
such a small percentage. So she was just focused on winning in that moment, and that's one of the things that like made me kind of realize like, man, I wish I thought more like that when I was in college because I mean, she had such a successful career. But not only that, just like her work ethic and her focus was unlike anything I had been around across, baseball or even just life kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see you guys helping each other in different areas, right? Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. I'm happy for you, of course. Dave, what do you got?
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always good to lean on someone that can help you throughout your college career and your life now, for sure. That's good to hear. Transitioning from your sport into the real world, what would you give some advice that someone that may be struggling with that transition from college athlete to now what you do now?
Yeah, man. I mean, that was rough because, I'm sure you guys went through it too. By the time you're like done and, like after my fifth year, it was no longer like I wanted to play professional baseball. I was just done. I was like, I need a break. I need to just kind of take some time away from the game. I wouldn't even watch it for a while after, but it just kind of leaves you with a little bit of, empty space in your life because you're like, you spend so much time doing one thing and then that thing's gone. But I think one of the big adjustments that I've made is just finding, other sort of hobbies that kind of fill that same role where, I
Nice.
do a lot of, like boxing, softball, that kind of stuff that kind of keeps me in shape physically, but also gives me that same kind of camaraderie of like, hanging out with teammates, playing games, being competitive, while still having that, physical benefit from it. But I think it just takes time at the bottom line of just adjusting to your new schedule, finding this, things that you want to pursue and, be competitive in again outside of, your sport kind of thing.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
had that conversation with Ashton. It's like she's got teammates that are still playing, right? Underclassmen and stuff. And they're texting her about the running test that's coming up here in August. And she's sitting home in a full-time job, actually two jobs, right? Like it's like it happens that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody and their mothers start saying, you're gonna miss this when it's gone. But
Yep.
at the
You don't
same
believe them.
time,
Like, well,
yeah,
you believe them, but you don't know how much like you really
exactly.
will kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
yeah, T, talk about that. Like, there's got to be parts you really miss about the game, but like there was parts of the game that kind of ate you up. And I kind of think it's a good segue. Like, what was your keep going on, man?
Well, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that this week because there's been a couple in my, head that I could go with, but I think the most obvious one is you guys know, right after COVID hit where, everything got shut down. I was training at the barn, making a lot of strides physically, off the mound, and in the weight room. And then, just a fluke incident ends up tearing my Achilles, basically washes all that. So between COVID shutting it down, not sure if I'm even going to go to, a fifth year, be able to have the opportunity to finish it out, to then having that physical limitation. That was probably like a real low point in the career. But after a couple months of doing rehab and stuff and, having the surgery, being in a boot, um, I just kind of made a decision of like, all right, well, this isn't going to be the end. I do, and thankfully got a fifth year, had the opportunity, and I was able to get back up on a mound in October, after tearing it in May. So it was, you know, really hard. Couldn't have done it without, the support of all the friends that were around during that time and, a lot of, Jake Peterson, honestly, dude came and picked me up every day, take me to the barn so I wasn't just laying in, bed all day feeling bad for myself. And I'll always, owe him that.
I love that. Yeah, P's obviously been on the podcast. Ray's been on the podcast. P's had a big impact in my baseball career as well. So just an all around toast to Jake
Yeah.
Petey here this morning. Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that keep going moment. I think there's always a moment in your college career where, you know, you're going to get hit with some adversity, like throughout your career in baseball and in life. And it's always just keep on going, taking it day by day, which you do, and that being consistent with that. Hey, I'm going to go to the barn with Jake and work out, even though I may not feel like it every single day.
Hmm.
And just
Yeah.
that's when you really need to do it when you don't feel like doing it, and being
Yeah.
consistent when you don't want to do it, in your sport and in in life in general. So I love that keep going moment and that
Yeah.
perspective. How you
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Go
you
ahead.
nailed it on the head there, Dave. I mean, that's kind of been a theme already of just little things every day. And you made a great point of, especially when you don't want to. I mean, you guys know after, a day of work, there's little things you want to do other than just lay on the couch. But, it's about, pushing through and doing the things you have to do to, feel good and make sure the next day is just as good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
was listening to a pod the other day. I think it was someone on the Padres, and they had a reporter come in and go like, it was like 5 a.m. The reporter came in. They didn't name the player, and some guy was like doing yoga in the corner of the locker room, and they walked up to him after and said to the player like, "What are you doing?" And the guy goes, "I'm falling in love every day and embracing the mundane, boring stuff in my life."
Yeah,
And
you
I
got to
was,
romanticize life, man. Just the little
yes,
things.
yeah. Do you think it's been a big thing for you? Like, I wouldn't say falling in love with the boring stuff, the tough stuff, but like just doing it every day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm perfect at it by any means. But yeah, I definitely try and, keep the routine and that's one thing, like romanticize little things, like enjoy, like make something that you enjoy just a little bit better, like I drink a lot of sparkling waters and this is gonna sound really boring, but uh sometimes, if I've had like a really bad day or something like that, just making a little bit of difference in that sparkling water, like throwing some ice in it, putting it in a nice glass makes it just a little bit better.
I love that, man. So yeah, I've never heard it explained like that, Dave. I don't know about you, but like I've never heard of like making the really good stuff a little bit better. I've always heard it trying to make the shitty stuff okay or at least tolerable. So that's a good perspective. I'm going to use that. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I like that. Switching it up a little bit. I think switching up, yeah, just a little routine, maybe a little change there in your routine. Say I'm going to work out for an hour and 10 minutes, or not even an hour, 15, 20 minutes, something just a little bit changer. And then right after you do that thing, it's like, wow, you just feel a little bit better about
Yeah,
yourself.
man. That's it.
Um,
Yeah.
That's it.
transitioning into the mental health part of things, T here. What do you do for your mental health, T?
Like I said, the physical aspect of it, keeping active, trying to find some hobbies, couple things that I've gotten into post grad. Our structured workouts. Me and P have talked about it. Boxing is one thing that I've been leaning on for about a year now, of just twice a week. It's a constant in my life. 45 minutes cardiovascular, just solid working out where I don't have to think about it. Uh, I'm sure you guys have kind of felt this way too. After a while of strength training, you just get kind of burnt out on it. And it took
Yeah.
a lot for me to go to the gym every day where like it felt like wasted time at a certain point. I knew it was good for me physically and mentally, but I would just sit there and, in between sets and be like, what am I doing? Like I have so much other stuff I need to do and not really making it a priority. So switching it up to something like boxing or something that I've never done where I'm building a skill along with it was a huge change for me. Positively. So
Yeah, I think Andrea Brigham said it. This is wow, probably 60 episodes ago. She was a volleyball player out in the Michigan area. And I asked her that same question. I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm still working out, but I'm not hating myself anymore while doing it."
that's a great way to put it because it's, you can only do so much strength training, the same workouts every day for, an hour,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
switch it up sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give anybody a cop out, right? She didn't just say I'm no longer doing this anymore because I don't like it. Like that's not what we're saying, but like listening to your body and finding something that okay, this is bettering me. But I don't hate myself. I don't hate
Right.
looking in the mirror going, "Oh, another day at 2 hours in the gym." Like I'm not we're not those guys anymore, all three of us. So like trying to make those changes is big. All right, let's do this. We're 27 minutes in. I want to go rapid fire questions and Dave knows the deal. Dave's already looking down at his sheet. So, Dave, go ahead and ask T some questions.
Yeah, T, I got a little new question here this week.
Look at this. Here we go.
What what brings you joy and happiness in your life?
Look at this, Dave. Look at
Oh,
Dave coming in hot today.
yeah. just the relationships that I have with people, honestly. I'm a social person. I thrive off of being around other people. So, obviously Tara, you guys, all my friends that I consider really close, that's the thing that keeps me going just in my day to day, is knowing that like work's one thing, it's what you do to live, but then, it's the outside stuff that really is the bread and butter of life kind of thing. So that's the biggest thing I'd say is relationships with people and friends.
Yeah, I
Love
like
it, man.
that a lot.
Love it.
Enjoy those moments every day, because you never know when it's gonna end.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way too quick, man. Yeah, I'm in the same boat with my question today. See, we're obviously in our 20s, man. Long way to go. At the end of this whole thing, man, what are you looking to accomplish?
Uh, if I'm being honest, I really just want, a nice, happy family. Like you know, I grew up in a big family. I want just something solid that, me and Tara and some kids can just have a nice, quiet existence and just kind of, hang out and have those great moments that you were talking about.
I think we're all striving for that, man. I know we all come from, I'm not going to say broken homes. It's not what I'm going to say. We all
Yeah,
come from
but
situations.
it's hard. Family's tough, family dynamics are hard, but that's one thing that like I want to carry into my family is there's certain things that, I experienced growing up that I don't want my kids to experience. It's all about learning and it's about, making the best out of the situation. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my ultimate goal.
You're going to be a great dad and great husband, man.
Hey, you too, man.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you though.
Yes, sir. Dave, go ahead.
Yeah. Favorite memory throughout your baseball career?
Good one.
Damn.
Dave, what'd you have for breakfast this morning, baby? Come on.
Damn, yeah, you're hitting it hard, Dave. It's hard to choose one. I'm not gonna do a specific memory. I'm just gonna do kind of like an idea of the memories. But dude, the barn, like you can't
Yeah.
beat that environment was just some of the greatest times. And that was one thing from a mental health perspective that, whatever was going on at home or, wherever, I knew I could walk across the street and there's six guys that, I can go hang out with, work out with, hit with, like, and just it would all melt away kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great way to describe it, man. That feeling, man, like when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like you're not yourself, getting back with your people and going, let's get after it. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than going towards a goal with people that have the same dreams, goals, and aspirations.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and
Man,
just hanging out, I mean, you guys know, like there would be nights where, you'd be done hitting and we'd all just be hanging out at the barn and listening to some tunes on the jukebox and, playing some
man.
stupid game. And it was just always, it never missed.
Some of the best days of my life, man.
Uh,
That's for darn sure. That's for darn sure. I got one more for you today. Obviously it's episode 90, and we've done a lot of these episodes poorly in the beginning. We were trying to figure this out. You've done so much, not only for athletes and coaches, but for everyday people today. What can we do to help you, man?
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What do you mean?
Yeah, man. Like in any organizations that you work with, anything with your job, anything that we can do to help as a podcast, as a nonprofit.
Oh, I mean, I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything, but this Feeling Swell brand, they're out of
Yes.
California.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's just a brand I found on Instagram. I love their stuff. They do a lot of cool like designs and everything, but a portion of every purchase goes to mental health organizations. I actually was looking at it before this. I think in their Instagram bio they have 100K already donated. So yeah, just pick up some Feeling Swell and just be happy.
I love it, man. That's why I asked the question, right? You never know where that's going to go. No, I got the Happiness Project on today. Like, there's a lot of great organizations. If you're looking to get back, if you're looking to get some great stuff, I love that crew neck, dude. That's sick.
Yeah, here I'll show you the back real quick. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
hit me. Yeah, let's see it. Yeah, dude. See, this is why we asked that question, because I didn't know we were going here, but I'm going to collab with Feeling Swell and see if they collab back. We'll see what happens.
Dude, hit me up because I love their stuff. It's comfortable and love the designs. So that'd be
Love it,
sweet.
man. I love you, brother, and I appreciate you jumping on today. And
Yeah, I love you guys.
yeah, man. Dave, anything to cap us, Bob?
Nothing. We just got to get the barn back together one of these days.
I look forward to
You're
it.
telling me, Dave.
Well, we
Holidays.
will.
Holidays.
We will.
Let's get it going.
Yeah, I agree, man. Well, shout out to the barn. Shout out to Power Pipe Hitting. If you, your son, daughter, nephew, niece, cousin, third uncle is looking to get better, I got a place for you. It's Power Pipe Hitting. That's all. Cap us off today. 90th episode, Lambeau Field. Love you guys. And after all this, keep going. All right, boys?
Hell yeah.
All right, boys.
Love you, boys.
See ya. Love you too.
guys.
Later, guys.